Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a good night. I am King Pigley. This is Gaming Imperfectly, and welcome to the channel, guys. Welcome back. And if you're new to the channel, I am King Pigley, and I hope you like what you see. Guys, I got a great, true story for you today, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Now, there is a series of books. I've talked about it before. It's called Missing 411. There you go. It's by a guy named David Paulides. Now, David Paulides was a police detective for over 20 years, and eventually, when he retired from the police force, he really got into all these missing person cases. And you know, guys, there is a vast amount of people that go missing in our national parks. Every year, thousands of people go missing. It is absolutely impressive how many people go missing in this country every year and are just never seen again, you know. Or if they are, their bodies are found weirdly, or they are found alive but impossible distances away from where they went missing. And if you remember the story of Aaron Hedges, we talked about a hunter named Aaron Hedges, 38-year-old guy that went missing in the crazy mountains of Montana. If you haven't seen that video, please go check out that video because, man, what a crazy story. But this story is along the same vein, guys, and it is a strange one as well that just left me baffled and scratching my head. And it's the story of Kory Kelly. Now, Kory John Kelly was a 38-year-old guy. He was from Crookstown, Minnesota. And he went missing when he went hunting, again, with another hunter gone missing in what's called Red Lake Wilderness area, or national park kind of thing, which is outside a small, like Four Towns, Minnesota. The thing about this one that's so weird, guys, or the thing that bothers me the most about these disappearances of these hunters, is that they're armed. You know, these guys have firearms. They're campers. They're prepared. These guys aren't just going out into the wilderness willy-nilly. They're not kids that just get lost in the woods. These are grown men who are armed, who have a tremendous amount of woodland experience and know-how that just vanish. On October 16th, two guys, it was Jim Naprude, I think was how you pronounce his name, and Kory Kelly went to go grouse hunting in Red Lake Wilderness National Park area. Jim took his dog, which was a yellow lab named Sam, or Sammy, and took him with him. Now, Jim had never been there, but Kory had gone to this place his entire life. Again, he's 38 years old, guys. He has been hunting in this area his entire life. All right? And when they went, once they got there, Jim realized that they needed gasoline. They didn't have any gas, so he told Kory that he was going to run to Four Towns and get some gas and that he would be back. And Kory said, "That's cool. I'm going to go grouse hunting." And Jim says, "Well, I'll leave my dog with you. I'll leave Sammy with you." And he's like, "All right, excellent." And off he went. And that was it, guys. That was the last time they ever saw Kory Kelly. When Jim got back, Kory was nowhere to be found, and neither was his dog. So he sat there and he, kind of waited, and he thought, well, he's probably off just hunting grouse. But hours passed, and then that night came, and no Kory. And so it started snowing lightly and stuff like that. And so Jim was becoming pretty concerned. So he was honking his horn and flashing his lights and really trying to mark himself. Because if by some chance, Kory had gotten lost out in this area, that he wanted to try to mark a position to try to find him. But Kory never showed back up. And eventually, Jim actually fell asleep inside of his vehicle. The next morning, he got up, and then there were two other people that passed by where they were camping. And he told the guys, like, "Hey, can you go get help? I can't find my buddy, but I don't want to leave him here." So the other two people went and got law enforcement, and they came out there. And, of course, they questioned Jim. As with all things, they always kind of look, at the people that are right there, Jim could be a suspect. He could have, offed Kory. So they questioned him, but they didn't have much to go on. And obviously Jim didn't have anything to do with it. I mean, after questioning him for a minute, they kind of come to realize that he was pretty innocent here. So this massive search was launched for Kory Kelly. It was an extremely difficult area to search through because it has swamps, and bogs. And again, this is in October, and it's getting, in fall in Minnesota, it starts getting cold really quickly, and it starts snowing, and it's just kind of the way of life up in Minnesota. But man, they had people from Canada. They had tons of people come in. They had people with dogs. In fact, they actually brought in the best dog teams in Minnesota to try to find this guy. They looked high and low for Kory Kelly, but they couldn't find any sign of him. Now, on the 25th of October, now remember, he went missing on October 16th. On the 25th of October, two hunters were searching the area basically around where Jim and Kory had been camping. So on the 25th of October, two hunters were out searching that area. Just two rescue, guys who were also invested in finding Kory were actually searching the area to where Kory was had gone missing. And it was really actually near not too far away from the campsite originally where Jim and Kory had been camping. Now, this place had already been searched numerous times, guys. This search has been going on for a couple of weeks at this point in time, and there had been no sign of Kory. And again, Jim's dog was missing. But on the 25th of October, these two hunters found Jim's dog, Sammy. They got the dog. The dog was in pretty good health, but they did notice, took him to a vet, and they took biological samples, so they took contents of his stomach and stuff to see what he'd been eating. But the crazy thing was that he was dehydrated and exhausted, but the dog was none the worse for wear. Okay? But that's important. Remember that the dog was found, they took samples from him, and he was exhausted and dehydrated. That's very important. And but again, there's no sign of Kory Kelly. So they found the dog, but they didn't find Kory. And this was in an area that they had already searched. It was super strange. So they kept the search going. Well, on the 28th of October, so this was a few days after they found the dog, they found Kory's cigarette lighter and a pack of cigarettes. So they did find, and it's his brand, it was his lighter. I don't know exactly how they know this, but again, this is a wilderness area, so there's not many people out there. And they've had this place cordoned off because they are actively searching for a missing person. So they're not allowing people to go in. So I doubt that it was anybody else's cigarettes and lighter other than Kory Kelly's. But they do find it. And that was on the 28th of October. On the 29th of October, they actually brought in the Criminal Apprehension Bureau in Minnesota, and they were basically like, like you would say a state-run, almost FBI-type group. And they're searching for Kory now. And on the 29th, 14 miles away from where he originally went missing, they end up finding his coveralls, his socks, a hooded sweatshirt, all of that. 14 miles away from where Kory went missing originally. Now, the next day on the 30th, now they searched that whole area where they found his coveralls and everything else, but there was no sign of Kory. But on the 30th, the day after, they had to actually cancel the search because inclement weather came in. Again, it's Minnesota. You're moving on into winter, late fall. It starts snowing, and so they had to call off the search. The weather got bad, and so they called off the search for that moment and had to go about, unfortunately, leaving Kory out there if he was still alive, but finding his coveralls, his socks, a sweatshirt 14 miles away from where he was originally camping. They weren't thinking the best at this point in time. It became more of a retrieval operation than it was a rescue operation. And, and that's understandable because, if you really think about it, guys, if you've been missing for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and it's snowing, it's below freezing outside, and they start finding your clothing, it's probably not a good thing. So, in mid-November, they actually started searching for Kory again. And once again, they brought in literally the best dogs in Minnesota, the best canine dogs search teams in Minnesota to help find this guy. And they went to the spot where they had found his clothing. So they found his coveralls and his socks. And they went there, and the dogs couldn't pick up a single scent. They had no nothing. They weren't hitting on anything other than the exact location to where Kory was, and they searched, they sniffed, and they sniffed, and they searched, but they really couldn't find anything. And it just kind of baffled local law enforcement. They're just like, yeah, we have no idea what is going on. The other weird thing is that when they found his clothing, they also found a single shotgun shell that he had been using in his rifle or in his shotgun, but they didn't find his firearm. So his firearm's still missing, but they found a lot of his clothing. They didn't find his pants or anything. So it's really strange that all this is going on. But what's even weirder is that at the point where they found all of his clothing, they got the best dogs in Minnesota to come and try to sniff him out. And there's no sign of him. Like, the dogs can't hit on anything. So on the 23rd of November, guys, on the 23rd of November, they had to terminate again the search for Kory Kelly, and they still had not found him. They looked high, low, they had helicopter teams, they had hundreds of people on the ground looking for this guy, both civilians and search and rescue, SAR. They've had multiple dog teams, again, the best dog teams in Minnesota. They couldn't find anything. After they found his clothing, there was nothing. And again, his clothing was 14 miles away from where he had originally been camping. Tragically, they had to call off the search for winter. Like, winter just became way too harsh. It's Thanksgiving time by this time. You are in winter in Minnesota. It's snowing. It's bad weather. And so they had to call off the search. But they did, again, start the search for him in April of the following year. So I think on April 28th, they resumed the search for Kory. And they started, again, by flying helicopters and airplanes over the place where they had last found any sign of him, his clothing articles and everything else. And 15 feet off the trail from where they found his clothing and stuff like that, in 8-foot tall grass, because remember, you're in a swampy, boggy area, was Kory's body. They found his body inside this grass, 8-foot tall grass, 15 feet off the trail. So there's a trail there, and they find his body 15 feet off the trail, not far from where they had found his coveralls, his socks, a single shotgun shell, and his hooded sweatshirt. The weird thing about this, guys, is that dogs were there in that area. Best dogs in Minnesota didn't pick up on a scent, all right? His body was right there, 15 feet off a trail, and 8-foot tall grass. Makes zero sense to me. The coroner's report for Kory Kelly said that he died of hypothermia. So the official coroner's report said that Kory Kelly died of hypothermia. But there's a lot of problems with that. Now let's go back to the dog real quick that was with Kory Kelly, when Jim's dog. So when Jim left to go get gas, Kory stayed behind with Sammy, the yellow lab. Now Sammy was found a few miles away from the original campsite, and when they found him, it was 5 days after Kory had gone missing, and the dog was dehydrated and exhausted, and they took biological samples from his stomach to see what he had been eating. Well, it turns out that he had been eating deer meat. Here's the weird thing about this as well, guys. Minnesota is called the land of 10,000 lakes. It's called that for a reason. The reason is that there's tons of water there. And this area, as I've said, was a boggy, swampy area to where they were hunting grouse. Okay? Why was this dog dehydrated? I have dogs, guys. I've seen my own dogs lick water out of a puddle. You're telling me that this yellow lab was dehydrated and that he had also been eating deer meat. So where did he get the deer meat from? And why was this dog dehydrated and exhausted? Now, the only way this makes sense is that somehow this dog was kept against its will in a place without access to water. This is a swampland. There's tons of water around. It's been snowing. It makes zero sense. The other thing that makes zero sense is why couldn't they find his body? When they found his clothing and everything else, his body was right over there, 15 feet off the trail, not far away, and dogs couldn't pick it up. Plus, searchers had been searching this whole area. They had called off the search initially in October, went to searching again in November, searched for 2 weeks in November, till the weather got bad and they called it off. They had helicopters, airplanes, hundreds of people, dog teams, the whole shebang. People from Canada, nothing. No sign of Kory Kelly. Then spring comes around, and 15 feet off the trail, not far away from where they found his coveralls, his sweatshirt, a single shotgun shell, they find his body. The other weird thing is this, guys, they never found his firearm. So even though they found his body, they never found his shotgun. So where did it go? The other thing also is that why did this guy who had the ability to make fire not make fire? And here's a real kicker. He had a cell phone with him. And not once the entire time that he was in this national park area did he try to call for help. And most certainly, yes, it's a rural area. And being from a rural area in Kentucky myself, I can honestly say that it's hard to get signal even where I'm at. But if you're walking around for 14 miles, if you're moving around an area, at some point in time, your phone will ping a tower. And not once did his cell phone ever ping his location to anyone. Really, really strange, guys. Unfortunately, like I said, Kory Kelly was found deceased, but the mystery of what happened to Kory Kelly will keep going on and will continue to baffle people like Dave Politis, myself, and any other person who looks into the cases like this. Alright guys, that's it for King Pigley today. I hope you've enjoyed this story as much as you possibly can. I know it's grim. I know this stuff is grim, guys, but it interests the hell out of me. I just find it amazing that all these people can go missing. And we're going to bring more. By the way, guys, go check out Dave Politis' books. You can get them on Amazon. There's other places. In fact, I'll put a link in the description below to where you can actually go purchase his books other than Amazon. And also, he has a YouTube channel called The Cam Am Project. All right, here on YouTube. Go give the guy some support. Really interesting stuff he's doing and great work he's doing. Trying to let people know about these people. Remember, guys, these people have families, and a lot of these cases are still unsolved, and they need more attention. As far as I'm concerned, they certainly need more attention. I find it super freaking weird that all these people are going missing every year in the U.S., and we're not hearing about it. Also, there's another channel that I've just become aware of that really could use your support. Bracy Fam 80 is the name of this channel. Bracy Fam 80. That's B-R-A-C-Y. Bracy Fam F-A-M and the number 80. He's new to YouTube. He's a fellow veteran, and he could really use your support. So guys, go check out Bracy Fam 80. Show him some love. Check out his content. Like I said, he's new. He's just starting. And he could really use the support. But that's it for King Pigley today, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Again, smash in that like button if you enjoyed this video. It helps me out, lets me know you're enjoying the content. If you're new to the channel, you've been here this long, I surely hope you'll consider subscribing. Keep coming back. And by all means, guys, just smack the crap out of that bell. That way you get the notifications. You won't miss out on the next spooky, macabre, gaming, who knows what video that King Pigley's going to bring to you guys. But that's it. I'm out of here, and I will see you guys in the next video.